Welcome back to Chess for Closers. We haven't done a stream in a while. Under promotion. That's today's topic. Now, under promotions are rare. I've been playing 50 years. I under promoted to a knight once. I really needed to. I was getting mated on the next move, and under promoting to a knight was check, and that saved my bacon. But mostly under promotions are the stuff of endgame studies. Anyway, so why would you ever consider getting a rook or a bishop, for that matter, instead of a queen? There's only one reason. The queen is more powerful, and sometimes stalemate results. The queen is cutting off escape squares, and so the rook might win when the queen achieves only a stalemate. Very rare. I have a friend of mine who said he had a study, he claimed he had a study wherein, unlike all the other studies, getting the queen actually lost. Getting the more powerful piece lost the game, wherein getting a rook would actually not lose the game. If it didn't win the game, it wouldn't lose the game either, but it would draw. And I had to explain, not a bad player, but not a master. I had to explain to him that the very nature of stalemate and the very nature of the powers of the queen, the rook, and the bishop. And, the bishop does some things that the queen does. The rook does other things that a queen does. Anyway, by the very nature of the movement of these three pieces, it just couldn't be that a queen would lose and a rook would draw. Not logical. But he was pretty sure of himself. And I got a bet out of him, a $100 bet. Then he showed me this position. Okay, so White's got his pawn in the 7th rank. White's king is poorly placed, but he is going to have a queen. So White gets a queen. Black plays bishop f4. Very ominous looking move. He's threatening king e2 is the main threat, but king f3 is a good threat. King e4, they're all going to be mate or end up with black taking the queen and the pawn ending being easily won for black. And White's got to be real careful here. Random checks on e8 or e7 or b6 or any other random queen move runs into mate. So only queen to d2 avoids immediate loss. But of course, after king f3 or king f4, White has to take on f4. Black takes. Easy win for black. Okay, getting the queen lost. But maybe it was just a lost position, right? Let's see. Suppose, let's back it up. Suppose White gets a rook. Why would that make a difference? Let's have a look. Black plays his bishop f4 move. Same move, different piece, rook to d2. And now, look at the difference. King f3, stalemate. There is no rook takes f4. And the same with king e4. There are a couple more variations here. Suppose black sees that king f3 is stalemate, and he plays on. He plays bishop to g5. White has to move the rook. Again, some random rook move like rook to d7 runs into king e2, right? And mate. So White's got to be very careful. So what's the clue? What move with the rook is not random? One that attacks the bishop. Rook to d5. And now if, of course, king e2 or something, White takes the bishop and turns the tables on black. But he could play, suppose he plays king f4. Now the threat is what? King g4, with mate to follow, or winning the rook and winning the pawn ending. Yeah, there is a threat there. And so rook to d2, the same theme. If black opens up the diagonal, then it's stalemate. If he moves his bishop back again, okay, the rook's got to move. But again, random rook moves lose to a random king move. You got to attack the bishop. And again, now let's test White's defenses here. If king to g5, now black threat is king to h5 with the win. No, only rook to d2 works. And now these random king moves are stalemate. Anyway, this is the study. I lost the $100. I was never sure of a bet in my life, and I still owe this $100. So, are you a better chess player for having seen this study? No, this isn't one of those studies. But I think it just shows that you never stop learning, never stop seeing new things in chess. I played for 50 years and had no idea that it could possibly be that a queen could lose when a rook would not lose. And yet I owe $100. Life is unfair. I guess it's true what Jimmy Carter said. Life is unfair. Anyway, let me show you a more traditional, if I can use that word, under promotion study. This has a name to it. It's, I think, the most famous under promotion study around. It's got a name, the Saavedra position, about which more in due course. William F. Buckley used to use that line. I've waited for years to be able to say it, and now I've said it. About which more in due course. So it's white to move and win. Of course, white plays c7. Not clear that there's anything black can do about it, but he does have a check. Rook to d6 check. And now on this move and on the next few moves, white can go to the c file, but black has rook to d1 followed by rook to c1, and he'll at least draw. So white plays king to b5. Black plays rook d5 check. Again, any king move to the c file runs into rook to d1. So king to b4, rook to d4 check, king to b3, rook to d3 check, and now black's in trouble. No more checks. But a fellow whose name we don't know, either this was a game he was in, or maybe he composed this position. He found that black is not lost here. He found a miracle move, and it's based on stalemate. So if you want to stop the video and try to find his move, let's do that. So there's one move that causes white some difficulty, and it's rook to d4. Now when white gets a queen, rook to c4 check. And when white takes, draw, stalemate, no moves for black. And this was a study. This was a study by this fellow. Maybe the study had a name, but a few years, 10 years, 20 years, Mr. Saavedra walked into the room, and he looked at this position. Let's back it up one more move. And he saw this study by Mr. No Name, and he said, wait a minute, suppose I get a rook. Now I'm threatening mate on a8, and the only way to stop it is rook to a4 for black. And now king to b3, hitting the rook, but also threatening rook to c1 mate. And there is no move that defends the rook and defends c1 at the same time. And so white underpromotes to a rook and wins. And so now we talk about the Saavedra study and not the John Doe study. This is, like I said, this is the most famous under promotion study. I can't think of a one that's more famous. And so you really ought to know this. Every Russian schoolboy does, and you should too. So I hope you enjoyed these studies. By the way, that first one where the queen loses and the rook draws, I'm still working to pay that $100 bet off. And so if you would subscribe, that would be most appreciated. See you next time on Chess for Closers.